Welcome to the Local Spotlight Show here at WJBM Studios in Jerseyville, Illinois, the voice of the Tri-Counties. I am Chris Lorton. I am your host today. And my guest today, Cindy Parish. Cindy Parish. One of the Shell kids.
Yeah.
Yes. A total of 12, 13, 14. How many was there?
13. 13 baker's dozen.
And what were you on the list?
I was the 12th. I was
Number
the
12.
baby girl, and then I have a younger brother, Jim.
That's right. And Jim's just what? How much younger is he than you?
He and I are 2 years apart.
2. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, you've lived in Jersey County all your life, right? Mm-hmm. Pretty much?
Yeah. I was born here, raised here. Yeah.
Went to school here?
Went to school here. JCHS, class of 83.
83. All right.
Yeah.
And then where'd you go to college?
So after I graduated from Jersey Community High School, I went to Quincy College. It was called Quincy College then. Now it's Quincy University.
I see.
And I got a biology and chemistry degree there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I moved to Tennessee. And
what was your intentions with that biology chemistry degree? What were you wanting to get into?
Well, I was wanting to go to medical school, but
Okay.
and so I was pre-med at Quincy.
Okay.
But I never got into medical school. I did apply and I did take the MCAT, but I never got in. And it was all God's timing, God's plan. So I don't have a regret about that. But instead, I went to Tennessee and worked for a cancer research lab for a year there after graduating from Quincy.
Can I ask you about that?
Sure.
What day-to-day duties at a cancer research lab? What were you doing?
Okay, so the company that I worked for was called Biotherapeutics, and they were, at that time, cancer research where you would reinfuse a person's own blood cells was relatively new.
My sister just had that done just a few days ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's pretty intensive.
Yeah, it is. She's going to be out of commission there at the hospital for I think 100 days,
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah. Well, this was kind of cutting edge and new. Mm-hmm. And so they would take out, the company I worked for used a particular medicine called interleukin-2, and they took cells out of your body, treated them with this cancer-fighting formula, and we would grow your own cells in this formula. Then we would reinfuse them back in. Now, I was not at the hospital or anything. I was only at the lab, so I was part of counting the cells, making sure we had a good count, treating them, creating the formula, and then repackaging it into a formula that could go in an IV. And then we had couriers, and they took it to the hospital, and we had staff there too, and would give it would be like an infusion treatment, a blood infusion.
For the most part, did it start off successful?
I wasn't privy a lot of times to the patient's response or to the patient's success level. Mm-hmm. I know before the patient could be on our program, they had to pretty much exhaust all the other medical possibilities that had already been approved. This was still pretty new, and so it was considered, what do they call it? Experimental. Mm-hmm. And so they don't really let you try an experimental approach until you've completed all of the protocols that are approved.
So that was, you were there, and then you left that job, that Tennessee, for what happened then?
Well, I got married.
You got married?
I got married to another local fella. And
how'd you guys get together? Back here in Jersey?
Yeah.
Were you just home for the weekend or something, or what?
No, actually, we were senior sweethearts.
Oh, you were? Mm-hmm. So you were staying in touch over the years?
Right.
As you went to college?
Yes.
And then
As we went to college, we dated kind of off and on. Yeah. I would say on. He would say off. But anyway, we dated off and on. And then our senior year of college, both of us kind of reignited our interest in one another more intentionally.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So you got married?
We got married.
And he was in the military?
Yeah. So I married Todd Parish, and he was in the Army. So we got married, and 5 days later, we moved to Germany, where he was stationed. and lived there for 4 years.
How was that?
That was amazing.
Oh, it was?
We loved it.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
What was so great about it? Living in Germany.
Germany is centrally located in Europe, and it was so beautiful. It surprised me how beautiful it is. But in addition to being centrally located so that you could go visit other countries pretty easily with a short drive, he had a boss who was really pro travel, and he would give the soldiers 4-day weekends often and say, please, go explore Europe. So he would get the best work out of them and say, hey, if you guys meet this goal, I'll give you a 3-day weekend. If you meet this goal, I'll give you a 4-day weekend. And so we were able to travel to different places in Europe a lot while we were there. We saw France, we saw Austria, we went to Portugal. It was great. We went to a lot of places while we were there, and it was like a 4-year honeymoon. Honestly, it was great.
That is great.
Yeah.
Have you been back since?
Actually, we have. We went back. We've been back to Germany one time. We went back to Italy. I would say of all the European countries, we really enjoyed that one.
Italy.
Yeah, it's so gorgeous, and the food's great. The people are great. We've been back.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, go. Definitely. It's my recommendation. Go, if you can.
So you come back. Now, we know you have 4 children.
I do. I have 4 kids now.
What are their names? And how old are they?
Okay. I have Gabriel. He is the oldest. He's 28. He is an officer in the United States Army himself. And he's married to Jeshua and has one little boy, Neo, which we enjoy being grandparents, and one on the way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
And then I have a daughter, Abigail. She'll be 26 soon. And she works for the law office and also for our other family business, Parish Mowing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then I have Chloe, who is 23. And she also works for the law office. She pretty much runs our title company, Colonial Title and Escrow.
Okay.
And does a great job for us there. And then I have my youngest, Quinn, who's 21, and he just graduated from Patrick Henry College, which is out in Virginia.
Now, Abby and Quinn did some mowing for me a couple summers ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quinn also works for Parish Mowing, Parish Lawns. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They've worked for you some.
And the one thing that really stuck out, I just remember it just like it was yesterday. They met. They came to the house, and I said, "Okay, jump in my truck. I'm going to show you the lawns that I want you to give me a bid on mowing." Okay, so this is what surprised me. Okay, this is what threw me for a loop because I just not used to witnessing this. Right, Quinn was had his hand on the front door of the truck to get in the front seat.
Yeah.
And then he stopped and said, Abby, why don't you get in the front? You'll be more comfortable up there. And then he gets in the second seat, and he lets her in the front. And to me, that blew me away because I'm not used to seeing siblings be so kind and courteous to each other. Usually, and not that mine haven't did that, but it just kind of stuck out with me. And I know you homeschooled your kids.
I did, yes.
And that's kind of one reason I wanted to have you come in the studio to talk about homeschooling. It seems to be popular these days. Yeah,
it's really grown in popularity, especially since COVID. I think it increased significantly. Numbers increased after that.
Yes. Now, I just want to let everybody know I have Cindy Parish with me. Used to be a Shell, part of the Shell family. And she's with me today, and we're talking about a few different things. One thing is homeschooling. Because when we have 4 kids as well, 2 boys, 2 girls. And I actually suggested homeschooling to Brenda.
Oh, you did?
Yes,
How did she respond to that?
She goes, I don't think so.
Well, it's not for everyone.
I think they'd be better off going to school. I'm like, okay. But what made you decide because it was, what year did you start homeschooling?
Let's see. Gabe would have been...
probably late 80s?
Yeah, 2002. No, he was born in 96, so when he's 6 years old, it would be 2002.
What made you want to make that move?
Well, okay, so we had come back to Jerseyville after my husband got out of the military, and he graduated from law school, and then we moved home. And when we moved home, after a few years, we realized, oh, yeah, we're going to have to put our kids in school. And Todd was raised in public school, and I went to St. Francis. So I was in parochial school, and we kind of had a little, well, what are we going to do? So we had pretty much decided to go to St. Francis, Holy Ghost schools. And when I went to enroll Gabriel, there were 31 kids in the class that year.
Big class.
Big class. And so that concerned me a little bit. I was like, wow, are you going to split the class? No, we don't. We don't have the funds really to split the class this year. We're going to keep it one class. And I said, well, you're going to hire an aide? No, usually we just let parents volunteer. We're not going to hire an aide. And I was like, oh, wow. So it just kind of was like 31 kids in the class seemed to be like, how much instruction is he really going to get? And so I ran into a great friend of mine named Marilyn Parcell. And she said, you should homeschool him. I homeschool the kids. I'm like, I had only briefly heard about homeschooling a little bit.
Really?
When we were in the military. And I was like, really? Tell me more about that. I hadn't been a proponent of it, really, because it wasn't nearly as popular back then as it is now. It was not as easy to do or had as much support. So anyway, Marilyn was like, you could homeschool him this year and just see how it goes. It's just kindergarten. You could do kindergarten.
Oh, yeah. You could do kindergarten.
Yeah, that's what she said. And I was like, you know what? She goes, if you think about it, whatever time you spend it with him one-on-one in kindergarten subjects, he's going to get way better than in a room with 31 other children. I was like, that made sense to me.
Yes.
So I said, you know what? I think I will. Would you teach me some things and show me what to do or what to expect?
Now, were you expected at this time to start helping at the law office? Or
no.
No. So you were pretty free?
I was stay-at-home mom at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't working at the law office at all that time.
So I guess you researched it a little bit?
Well, there was not really much Google or anything like that either then. I just spoke to other ladies who had done it, mainly Marilyn on her recommendation. And yeah, so we jumped in. I started teaching him kindergarten subjects. Yeah. And just let St. Francis know, hey, he's not going to come. We did all the pre-enrollment and pre-testing and stuff, but hey, I'm not going to send him this year. I'm just going to homeschool him this year. And they're like, okay, no problem. Let us know whenever you're ready to put him in school.
So originally your intentions were to do kindergarten and then let him move on into first grade or second grade. Grade.
Funny thing, though, I didn't really consider like, when it's first grade, it's still going to be 31 in the class.
Yes, for sure.
So I hadn't thought about that. So after kindergarten went fine, I was faced with the same dilemma at first grade. And of course, Marilyn says, oh, well, you could teach first grade. There's nothing to it. You can, everything in first grade, you already know. You can do that.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So it ended up being, I can do that. I'll do first grade. And then same thing, second grade. So Marilyn would encourage me. But by second grade, then, of course, I had Abby as well. So now I was teaching Abby kindergarten and Gabe second grade and had 2 more children.
Yes. So you
at
were
that time. So I was busy. But it was like that. Kind of like each year I would evaluate and say, am I going to continue doing this? And after lots of prayer and consideration, it was like, yes, we're definitely going to continue doing this. And eventually it wasn't like each year this is up for grabs. It was, this is what we're doing. We're going to be full throttle into homeschooling and raising our children in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. And this is how we're doing it.
Yes. Now, what are some big positive things that you think, as when you're having your kids at home, what were the positive things that came out of versus sending them to school? Give me a few of them.
Sure. Oh, well.
Some of the top ones.
Well, I would say a ton.
A ton.
It's hard to narrow it down, but one of the things is you get to spend so much more time with your children. And to us, that was a positive. It's really clear in Scripture, like in Deuteronomy, it says that you should teach your children as you go along the way, as you lie down, as you rise up, as you're walking along the way. And so if you're to do that, how do you do that if you're not with them? Mm-hmm. So that was one of our motivations that kept us going. But we realized, well, this is the model, the Hebraic model, is to teach your child as you're living, as you're going. Mm-hmm. And in Proverbs it says, raise your children in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. And so those were the things that we were thinking, how could we do that if they're not with us? Exactly. So one of the benefits was like, well, they're with us all the time. So you end up getting to have a lot of the joys of their firsts and a lot of the light bulbs going off, that they're understanding a subject or a concept. And you see that light bulb, and then they take delight in learning.
Did you set it up like the same as a school, like little desks and books and just chalkboard and all that good stuff?
Well, you kind of start off that way. You think you have to do it the way that you were taught because that's all you know.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, that's not really very necessary.
It's okay maybe if you got 30 kids in the class.
Yes.
But not if you just have one or two.
Tell you the truth, this is what we did a lot.
Okay,
they would get up in the morning and they would come down in their jammies and we would get breakfast, and we always had some time with Todd before he left for work, and our school day started off with Bible. That was our first subject. So we would do our little Bible story or our Bible time first, or our memory verse, and then we would move to language arts or reading. So they would just jump on the couch with me and snuggle in
pajamas.
Yep.
Okay.
In their pajamas, and I have to admit, sometimes I was still in mine. And we would read. We would pick the reader for the day, whatever it is we were studying in language arts, and they would just snuggle in, and I would read aloud and they would listen, and then I would follow up with comprehension questions. And so there was a lot of just intimate, just cozy time that the kids loved and I loved.
Yeah.
And it really made them love each other, which is what you were talking about later on in life. They enjoyed each other's company and they had this affection for one another that just kind of was a natural outpouring of these close-knit times in the morning. And we were studying about people and stories in history or events in history or even fiction, but they loved interacting with those stories. Like later in the day, I would see them outside playing and pretending to be Robin Hood and, Sheriff Nottingham.
Right. Yep.
So it was a delight in that way. But the days weren't like, oh, okay, it's 8:50, we're switching, go do this or go do that. Get your next book out. And too, with 4 kids, you kind of have to be... What happened a lot was Abby and Gabe were taught subjects together, and Chloe and Quinn were taught subjects together because they were just at that level in development.
Okay.
So then they would have to separate and do individual math subjects, and they would have... I would have to give some instruction to each individual for things like math that are more individual development level. But history and geography and language arts, you can do together quite a bit.
Now, how about let's go on to where they were in high school. How about then? Now they're studying subjects. Did you have to research these subjects So
it's really
did you
rewarding.
have to stay ahead of them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. I had this principle called 1 day ahead. You just have to be 1 day ahead. So if, you have to start teaching them how to divide fractions, and you're like, I don't remember how to divide fractions because I haven't done that since I was in 6th grade. You just review those subjects that you have to study the next day instead of the whole book. And then you just have to be 1 day ahead on all the subjects, and then you can teach it to them. But we did do a transition at high school. And what prompted that is Gabe approached us and said that he wanted to go to West Point, which is where Todd went. And I was like, if we ever want to do admission to West Point, we're going to have to do a little bit more rigorous preparation. And so I researched co-ops. and tried to find a co-op, a homeschooling co-op in the area. And there weren't any around here. There is now, but at that time there wasn't. And so there was several in the St. Louis area. And we selected one there that kind of geared itself toward high school students that did the higher level science, math, and then some other things like choir and band that you can't do at home, obviously. And so we started attending this co-op, and we went there one day a week, Tuesdays. I drove them over there, and they would take their algebra, physics, calculus, choir, those higher level science and math subjects that required a lab. And then we would come home and do all of our coursework through the week. And then each Tuesday they would go there for the labs and for the higher level stuff.
You know, we've kind of ran out of our slotted time right now.
Oh.
But here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
I think we have a little bit more to discuss.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to close this out right here, and we're going to pick up again for tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds great.
So
sure.
we'll do that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Okay. So we'll just wait a few minutes, and then we'll pick up and we'll carry on so we can get a little bit more into depth.
Okay.
Is that
enough? Am I
no,
too binding too long on any one subject?
No.
Okay.
You're fine. I just I'm only allowed so much time to fit into the slot.
Okay.
Okay. So
sure.
If I go over, but I think we can. I think we can go over. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about next episode. I think what we need to get into is from your experience. Okay, the experience was great for all. I think, don't you? Okay.
I would say overall, yes. Yeah, it wasn't without challenges, but yeah.
I'll stop.